If you haven't used it before, Google Scholar is going to be your new best friend here for finding articles. It's one of the things that I use most frequently as a scholar and one of the most helpful resources for a lot of different reasons. And so what this video is going to do is show you a little bit of the tips and tricks that are available when it comes to Google Scholar, because there are some customizations that you can make to it that make it even more powerful than it was before. So the first thing we've got here is just a blank Google Scholar page. You can find this at scholar.google.com, or you can Google for Google Scholar, I suppose. But what we're going to do is start here and make some quick adjustments to make Google Scholar as powerful as possible. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is probably sign in, and I know that you have a Google account because you're associated with ASU, and ASU provides you with a Gmail account as your primary email, so you can go ahead and sign in. But before we do that, I'm going to show you something over in the settings. And the reason I'm doing that first is because it's going to automatically be set for me, so I'm going to show you how I would do it if it was not set up already. So if you click on this little menu on the side, it pulls up settings and a whole bunch of other stuff, but we'll just focus in on settings. So when you get to this page, it's going to ask you about some other things that you can tinker with if you would like, but the big thing that I want you to go to is library links. Now, the library links part is going to be important because this is a place where you can actually link your library at Arizona State University to your Google Scholar account. And when it does that, what happens is it opens up the possibility of getting a little button that says Get It at ASU. Now, that Get It at ASU button is going to be massively helpful and save you so much time when it comes to looking for the particular articles that you have for your assignment in the library. And so make sure that you have that clicked and saved for your particular account. Now, I'm going to go ahead and sign in with my Gmail account, and that will take care of a lot of the things here. And so there I'm signing in, and we're good to go. Now, you're going to see some things here on my version of Google Scholar that are going to be a little different than yours, and I'll show you what some of those are very briefly. First, it's got these recommended articles, and it's got this My Profile and things up here at the top. Now, the reason why I have those is because I actually have a Google Scholar account. And so if you look at my Scholar profile, you can actually see my publications and all the tracking that it does for me. But that's really not all that important for right now. Instead, you're going to use Google Scholar like anybody else would and search for just whatever it is that you're looking for your particular project. So if I'm looking for rhetoric, like we've talked about in the other video, I can search for that and it brings back 2.25 million results. Now, of course, that's going to be way too much for what you need. So we can start to narrow down in the way that we have before, rhetoric and digital media. Well, here, look at that. There's that Zappin piece that came up right there at the top. And so here we have a different way of accessing the types of articles that were found in the library website. Now, you can do all kinds of things to narrow down in terms of time and relevance by date, all kinds of ways of organizing the results. But one of the things that you're going to have to be careful for is seeing that this will yield results that include books and other sorts of articles that aren't necessarily A, in the communication discipline, or B, scholarly journals. And so if I dig deep into the list here of the 242,000 results, and I go down really far at the end of the big long Google here, you'll start to find some pretty random stuff, like master's theses and articles and newspaper articles and stuff that might not be all that helpful. So what you want to do is make sure that you're finding those articles that are available that are actual communication studies. Now, that Get It at ASU button that I mentioned is over here on the right. Now, what makes that really helpful is you can click on that button and it will automatically take you to the ASU library where you might have to log in, but you'll be able to find the article directly. But before we do that, you can see that these PDFs might be available from other sources. And so what this means is that somebody, maybe the author, maybe somebody else, has posted the article itself in PDF form at, say, a website. And looking at if you look down here at the very corner, you can see that there's the list of the PDF there, and it says Digital Rhetoric 2005 PDF at Zappin J. It looks like his own personal website. That's Jim Zappin again. So when I click on it, lo and behold, there's the article that I might want. And it's ready to go, and I can read it and do whatever it is I need with it. But let's say we couldn't do that. Let's go down to this Clancy and Clancy piece that is a anti-GMO visual rhetoric analysis in critical studies in media communication. So if I click on this, Get It at ASU, it'll take me directly to the ASU website. Now, again, you might need to log in to make the actual access happen, which looks like I'll have to here. But that will provide you a full text access to the article, which is really helpful. So I'll sign in real fast. Didn't even have to put in my stuff, that's fancy. And then I can view the PDF. Now, there are a couple different ways I could access it, and I just clicked on the one that looked the easiest, and there it is. But if I wanted to go back, and if you look down here, you'll see that it will actually access directly to Communication and Mass Media Complete. So all things are circling back to the same place. But it's just helpful that Google Scholar allows me to find it in that particular way. Now let's go back to our results. Okay, we're looking at uncertainty reduction theory as well. Looks like it's already in there. And again, we've now received 4.2 million results. Well, that could be because I'm not putting quotes around my search terms. So let's try that and see if that helps. Now we're down to 4,000 results. And here you can see a lot of those articles again. So again, if I wanted to try to look at these, I could click on the Get It at ASU button, and that would take me to where I need to go. Do the same thing for cultivation. And cultivation theory yields almost 2 million results. We'll put those quotes around. Now we're down to 9,400. Still a lot, but it's still a lot more manageable than the bajillions. So now we can find those articles that are down here again, and we can try to make sense of what we've got. So here's a Potter piece in the Journal of Communication. That's a critical analysis of cultivation theory. Here's another one. Looks like Potter's been talking about this for 20 years. And so we can continue to do our hunt for articles that are going to be helpful for our literature review and for our coding sheets. Now, the last thing I want to show you that's really helpful when it comes to Google Scholar is the ability to create citations. So, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, but that is our textbook. In any case, as you look here, you'll see that it's got a lot of these little things, these little buttons and stuff that I can look at. And there's a couple things that I want to show you with this little list here that are going to be helpful. First, you can favorite pieces. And so you can add them to your favorites, but that may be helpful for you as you're trying to track articles because then it goes into your library, but that may not be something you want to do. What students do find helpful, however, is this citation button. So here what happens is I click on the citation button and the citation is automatically generated, which is really helpful. But here's the thing. This citation is mostly accurate, but it's not entirely accurate. So if we're using APA formatting, which we are in this course, a couple things come up that are mistakes. First, this is all fine and good, and as human communication research, that's looking good. Volume number, that's looking good, but I don't need the issue number here, and that's a weird thing in APA formatting, where if there's continued pagination, and I've talked about this elsewhere, if there's continued pagination in a journal, meaning that as you get to the fourth issue, that the page numbers don't start over at 1, they just continue on from the third issue, and so that might start at like 400 and something. Then that continued pagination, which we can see here, so in this issue, the page number for this article is 564. That means that it's using continued pagination. What that means is that I don't have to include this little issue number. I know it's a little snarky thing that APA does, but it is accurate. The other thing that's missing is the DOI number, the Digital Object Identifier number. And that's one that is featured in the 6th edition of the APA manual and something we need to have here at the end. So, simultaneously though, this overall citation is super helpful. And so with very minor adjustments, I'll have a good citation ready to go. And so you can go ahead and copy that and use that for your article reviews and things, but you want to make sure you're making those adjustments. The last thing that I think is going to be helpful for you is to use this cited by. What that means is that when I look at any of these pieces, I can see not only who wrote the piece and all of those details, but I can look at who has cited the piece. So let's go to this top one. Television and its Viewers, Cultivation Theory and Research. This is a book by Shanahan and Morgan, or James and Morgan, and so it looks like this book has been cited by 700 people, which is a lot. And so we can go here and see, okay, well, who cited this book? Well, the reason that might be helpful is you may find articles that are pertinent to your literature review by looking at who cited it. the original article. So if I find one article and it looks like it's been cited 700 times, I can look through those citations to see, okay, what else can I find that's similar? Because if somebody is citing this article, it's probably because it's similar to the work that they're doing. So that could be something helpful for you as well. Overall, Google Scholar is really helpful for you as a student, and it's helpful for me as a scholar, and so I think that this is something you want to keep in mind as you're doing your literature review search. And the last thing we'll talk about is how to make citations.